What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ryan with Kai here. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I'm gonna see if I can fix this coolant leak on this 2022 Vitpilen 401. So on this bike, it's got about 2,500 miles on it now. And throughout the whole ownership experience, I would get like an intermittent coolant leak. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So on these bikes, there's a coolant reservoir behind this fairing here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take all that apart, see if I could figure out what's going on. What's happening is intermittently, I'll get a coolant leak. You can kind of see, I try to wipe it up, but you can see some stains here where coolant has been, right? Some of this kind of stuff, right? It's not a very severe leak. Sometimes I'll find a little bit of coolant in this area, a little bit on the shock, on the rear hugger as well. It's not, I don't know how to reproduce it. I don't know how to reproduce the symptom. It just leaks every so often, and it's just a few drops. I don't know if the reservoir is just leaking somewhere, or if maybe there's like a breather tube for the reservoir. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna take this thing apart, see if I can figure out what's going on. I don't know if it's the cap or something like that. It's pretty common on these bikes to have that intermittent leak issue. So hopefully this video can kind of show you guys how to get to that reservoir, diagnose it, and hopefully we can fix it today. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is remove the seat. The way you do that, you just take your ignition key, place it here, rotate it, clockwise, and then you're going to pull up on the back portion of the seat and then just slide it back. You can kind of see how it works here. I'm sure most of you have done it before, but it kind of slides in under these like rubber grommets, and then you can just remove the seat, pull it out. Next, we'll remove the fairings. So we'll go ahead and remove these fasteners. These are actually a 5mm Allen key, 5mm Allen key, and you need to remove that one. That's a 4mm, and there's a few underneath as well, like that guy, also 4mm. So I'll go ahead and get that all taken apart, get all the fasteners removed, and I'll show you what the inside of the fairings look like so you can get a better idea of how they come off. All right, so as you can see, got the fairing off. I'll show you in a moment what the inside part of the fairing looks like so you can kind of see how it goes together, how it clips on, and so forth. All right, and there it is removed. So that's what the inside of the fairing looks like. I've actually got it upside down. Let me switch that, okay. So we can kind of tell what the orientation is. These were the 5mm Allen keys that were kind of on the top of the tank there. That's where that big 4mm was. There's a 10mm here, which I'll show you in a moment. And if we look towards the rear of the fairing, there's this pin, okay? That pin goes into that grommet there, okay? And there's a pin at the front as well. It's kind of arrow shaped. It's got this arrow shaped nipple on it. That snaps in to that grommet there. So once all the fasteners are removed, you're gonna pull out on the front of the fairing. That'll release the fairing from that grommet there, and then you're going to slide it towards the front of the bike, okay? And then that will completely remove it. So just be gentle, don't force it. Again, this bike, it's not the most expensive bike in the world, so things are a little bit flimsy, so don't go crazy on it, but just give it a little bit of pressure here. It will pull out. Just pull it straight to the side there, and then you'll be able to remove the fairing. So that 10mm bolt that I mentioned earlier, it's actually right here. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know why they use all these different size Allen keys and then use a 10mm, no idea, but it is what it is. So don't forget about that one. To make my life a little bit easier, I actually loosened this silver fairing as well. Self-explanatory, I kind of showed you that more towards the beginning of the video. One tricky part though is there is a 4mm Allen key under this rubber little flap here. So if you're using a Allen key, you can see your battery terminals are right here as well. So if you're using a really long Allen key or using some type of cordless ratchet or something, be really careful that you don't take the tool and ground out the negative and positive of the battery. And there's a close-up of my reservoir, so we can kind of see how the lines are run once you get the fairing off. And if I look close, it's actually a little bit worse leak than I thought. It looks like it's coming from this cap. It doesn't look like it's coming from the from that breather tube, from the tube. So I'll go ahead and remove this cap. We'll inspect it. Maybe it's just loose, I don't know, but it's actually a little bit worse of a leak than I thought. I mean, you can see there's quite a bit of coolant running down. And there's the cap. So there is a little rubber seal in there. It looks okay. I don't see any obvious damage to that seal. I don't know if the cap, it seemed like it was on tight. So what I'll do is maybe I think I'll take that seal out, clean it off, make sure there's no debris in there that's keeping it from sitting flush, and then clean all this up and see if it still leaks. Hopefully it doesn't. This is probably going to be very hard to pick up on camera, but I could see that seal. It's actually not sitting flush inside of the cap. Yeah, it's really hard to see on camera, but if you look kind of in that 12 o'clock position, if you look really close, you can see that it's not sitting the way it's supposed to be. So I'm pretty much 100% sure that's where my leak's coming from. All right, so again, probably going to be really hard to pick up on camera, but I was able to kind of push that seal down with a flathead screwdriver just very carefully. So it's marginally flatter now. And I took some Lucas Red and Tacky and just put a really thin coating over the seal in there. I don't need much, just a little bit, hoping that'll help it seal up a little bit better. Okay, so I got the cap back on, went ahead, cleaned it all up, re-tightened it. So hopefully that's the end of my intermittent leak, but we'll see. And with the fairing off, just wanted to show you guys a little bit closer what the tank looks like. The tank's super small on these bikes, only 2-point-something gallons, but with the fairing off, you can really see how small they are. And on mine, I'm noticing that, if my camera will focus, there we go. So what I'm noticing is I'm getting a little bit of a corrosion issue here. So I assume it's probably going to be the same for the rest of the Vitpilens and Svartpilens. So what I'll do is I'll probably put a little bit of anti-seize on this fastener here, so that way it doesn't lock up. But yeah, I mean, for a bike that's only 6 months old, it's got a little bit of corrosion going on already. But yeah, and there it is, all back together. Just basically reverse assembly process. So go ahead and slide the back of the fairing into that pin, snap it in here, and then 5 millimeter, 5 millimeter, 4 millimeter. Where's that 10 millimeter at? 10 millimeter. And then there's a few, there's that 4 millimeter, then there's a few underneath, just because I loosened this silver fairing as well. So if you did that, another 4 millimeter there and another one there. Pretty straightforward, guys. Not a big deal. Pretty easy to take off and put back that fairing. All right, guys, and that's it. Just quick and dirty, real short video today. Real straightforward. The only other advice I would have during assembly is go ahead and leave everything loose as far as the fairings go. Just put all the fasteners back in, but don't tighten any single one until you get all the fasteners in and you get the fairing to sit where you want it to. These bikes, the fit and finish is not super good on them, so the fairings, they do move quite a bit. They kind of twist, they kind of get tweaked, so it does take a little bit of time to get it fitting at least pretty decent. Mine are still not perfect, but take a little bit of time, make sure that it looks the way that you want it to. Also on mine, the fastener that goes under here, that 4 millimeter, I actually needed to chase it with a tap and die, so hopefully that doesn't happen to you. It was a M8 by 1.25 if it does, but yeah, I just, for whatever reason, the threads were just chewed up, so I needed to chase it. But other than that, hopefully that's the end of that coolant issue. It never was like a showstopper. It would never leave you stranded or anything like that, but it's just kind of annoying to get off the bike or look in your garage and see that there's coolant on your exhaust or on your swing arm or whatever it is that you need to now clean up. But anyways, guys, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully that helps some of you out there that are having the same issue that I have. So have a good one.